first of all, this is a problem that's very common in democratic countries that, and certainly it's true in the United States that people don't trust politicians and particularly elected legislators. The support for Congress is really, extremely low. And I think part of it is that a lot of the political class oftentimes ends up not debating really important substantive issues, but, simply trying to score partisan points. And then you have problems with political corruption and the influence of money in politics and all of these things that I think make people quite cynical about the nature of democratic politics. It is very widespread. I think that there are different problems for which there are different solutions. So in the case of money, I think that the corruption of politics by money, has got a lot of different sources. And so, one solution to that is actually to have a strong independent judiciary that can actually prosecute, cases of political corruption. I think the other important thing is just laws that, restrict the amount of money that can be donated in political campaigns. That tends to be very hard because, where there's a lot of money, it tends to find its way into politics nonetheless. But I think it's something that, that needs to be done. You need popular mobilization because a lot of times if you've got, two parties that don't seem to represent actually, the public will, sometimes you need a social movement or a protest. I mean, one of the interesting things that's happened in the last year is this popular movement against political corruption in India, that's led by a lot of middle-class Indians that feel that their political system is not delivering, good government. And so, you had this case just, in the past couple of months where the government was actually forced by a kind of popular uprising to, to institute a new anti-corruption law. So I think, these are all different ways that, citizens have of dealing with these problems. Mm-hmm. It probably came partly out of my educational background because my basic training was in the humanities. I read a lot of philosophy when I was in an undergraduate, and then, I majored in classics, so I read Plato and Aristotle, and then I turned to more practical policy studies. When I finally, got a job as right out of graduate school. And I think probably the diversity in that background, helped a lot because the end of history, for example, is, that's a philosophic concept that comes from Hegel and Marx. And it's not necessarily something, that you'd be familiar with if you just studied, let's say, contemporary economics or, political science. And so I think, that helped. I think luck had a lot to do with it because I wrote that article right at the moment that the Cold War ended. And of course, I, had no idea that would happen, but certainly.